Okay, hi there. It's Chris again from the podcast studio. How you doing? I hope you're doing all right today. Well, we've got a long form sort of podcast and video now, which is really going to talk about trying to get your business noticed out there in the business world and in the world in general, really. I mean, we've all worked hard on building our businesses, but we need to make sure that, it can be seen by people who are actually interested in either buying your services or buying your products. You know how it is. You've got a fantastic product. You've poured your heart, your soul, your savings, and way too many sleepless nights into creating something that you know people need. The website, well, that's all built, so no problem there. The logo, it's designed, and you are ready to take on the world, or at least your corner of it. There's just one tiny little problem. Nobody knows that you exist. It's about right. It feels like you're shouting into a black hole, doesn't it? You're posting on social media, you're trying to keep a blog, you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do, but your business is still a ghost online. There's tumbleweed, crickets, and all sorts of stuff. You can't find yourself in the search listings, and it's just really, really annoying. The silence is just deafening, and honestly, it's just frustrating, right? But what if I told you that a lot of the marketing advice out there has you running on a content treadmill that will ultimately lead to burnout? It's practically designed to keep you spinning your wheels while the biggest brands and the smartest entrepreneurs are playing a totally different game. I've identified one marketing tool that can help transform a brand from an unknown name into an industry leader that customers actually go looking for. And guess what? Today, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and how you can use it to finally get your business noticed. So first of all, let's start off with the old way and why you're stuck on the content treadmill. So before we get to the good stuff, let's be painfully honest about the problem. Your invisibility isn't your fault, okay? It's the symptom of a strategy that feels frantic and scattered. I like to call it the content treadmill, and it keeps you running in place all the time. First up, the social media obsession. We're so obsessed because we've been told that we need to be everywhere all at once. So you're posting on Instagram, trying to make a viral TikTok, sharing on Facebook, and attempting to be clever on X. You're stretched thin across 5 different platforms, each with its own bizarre algorithm. And the result? Well, your content feels generic. It's shallow. Instead of building real relationships with people who would actually pay you, the result? Well, your content feels generic. It's shallow. So, instead of building real relationships with people who would actually pay you, you're stuck chasing likes and followers, vanity metrics. They don't pay the bills and they don't pay the rent. It's a game built for influencers, not entrepreneurs. We want to make money, not just be famous, right? Second, the curse of the generic blog. Someone somewhere told you that content is king. So, guess what? You started a blog. You spend hours hunting for keywords to please the Google gods. You're writing articles like 5 tips for this or the ultimate guide to that. But when you read it back, it sounds like a robot wrote it. It has no soul, and in a world that's now flooded with AI-generated articles, your perfectly optimized but sterile blog post is just more digital noise. It doesn't build trust. It just checks a box. And third, the black hole of paid ads. Oh no, here we go. In a moment of sheer desperation, you threw some money at the problem. Oh my gosh, we've all been there, right? You boosted a post or ran a small ad campaign, but you sent that traffic to a website for a brand nobody knows or trusts, right? The clicks were expensive and the sales were, well, none. Crickets, tumbleweed again. Nothing happened. You might as well have just set your cash on fire because without a foundation of trust, ads are just an expensive way to say hello to people who don't care about you yet. Now, this is the old way with a capital O and a capital W. It's reactive, it's exhausting, and it keeps you invisible and demoralized. But don't worry, there's a much better way of doing this. Let's start the turning point. Let's get there. Let's look at the one thing that changes everything. The shift from being unknown to becoming an authority doesn't come from being or doing more. It comes from doing one thing differently. It's about changing the entire dynamic. The one tool that can make a massive difference is a podcast. Now, I know I would say that, but I believe it. It's very true. Now, but hold on though, before you click away thinking, I hate the sound of my voice, or that sounds way too technical, I want you to reframe what a podcast actually is. It's not just another piece of content, it's a trust-building engine. It's an authority platform. How's that? It is the heart of effective small business podcasting. Think about it. We're all bombarded with visual ads and posts. We scroll past, those in a second, don't we? We don't pay any attention to them. A podcast, though, cuts through all that. People actually choose to press play and listen, often for 30, 45 or even 60 minutes at a time. They listen during their commute, while they're at the gym, or while they're making dinner. You have their undivided attention in that time. This is one of the most personal forms of marketing available today. Hearing your voice, your passion, your expertise week after week builds a connection that a blog post or an Instagram story just can't match. It's how you go from being a faceless business to a trusted human voice. You stop trying to be seen and start focusing on being heard, right? So let's have a look at this new way. Let's see how we can use this as a blueprint for building your authority. So, how do you actually do this right? Well, here's your blueprint for effective small business podcasting. First step, stop shouting at everyone. Start speaking to one person. The biggest mistake you can make is trying to create a podcast for everybody. And I know this from being on the radio. What you need to do is to concentrate on one person. That's your audience. Think of somebody that you can talk to, whether that's your ideal client, whether it's a client you know already, whether it's your other half or significant other, whether it's your child, whether it's somebody on the street, whatever it is, just imagine that person that you're talking to. Your goal is to define your one perfect listener. So get specific about this, okay? What are their biggest struggles? What are their secret hopes? What questions are they trying and typing into Google in the middle of the night? Your podcast needs to be their answer. So, when you speak to one person, your message becomes incredibly powerful. Every listener who fits that profile will feel like you're talking directly to them. And that's how you build a loyal audience that hangs on every word you say. Now, how can you get these questions? Well, that's a good question in itself. You have got a goldmine of content available at your website or in any forums or Facebook pages or groups that you belong to, where people are constantly asking questions about how do I get more customers? How can I do this? How can I do that? Whatever it is, people are already answering those questions and already telling you what their issues are. So for us, it would be, how do I start a podcast? So I would start a podcast entitled, How Do I Start a Podcast, right? To answer those questions. So you need to be looking at that as well. Let's move on to step 2 now, which is build your stage the simple way. So forget thinking you need a fancy recording studio from day one. While professional services, like us at the Podcast Studio, can offer incredible production value when you're ready to level up, you can get started with your smartphone and a good USB microphone. It's easier and cheaper than ever before to do this. The technical side actually is quite simple too. You can use a podcast hosting platform to upload your audio, and it automatically sends your show to all the big directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The most important thing here though is consistency. Launch with 3 episodes right off the bat so that any new listeners can binge on them. Then commit to a regular schedule, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly. What we've found out is that consistency is what turns casual listeners into loyal fans of you and your business. So, the next step, step 3, create your authority content. Your podcast is your library of expertise. It's where you solve the kinds of problems you ultimately sell the solution to. One of the best ways to do this is by interviewing other experts in your field. Yeah, that's right. So when you bring respected guests on your show, their authority, well, it rubs off on you, and you get introduced to their audience when they share the episode to them. This is also where you start working smarter and not harder. One 45-minute podcast can be repurposed into a dozen other assets. Transcribe it for a blog post, pull quotes for social media graphics, create short video clips for Reels and YouTube, and suddenly you're off the content treadmill. You create one pillar piece of content and let it do the work of 10. So next step, step 4. Let's master this echo chamber effect. A great podcast markets itself. It starts with your guests. Make them sound smart and they'll be excited to share the episode with their network, bringing you new, highly qualified listeners for free. Then you become a guest on other podcasts in your niche. This is one of the fastest ways to grow your own audience and establish your own credibility. You find shows that your ideal customers are already listening to and provide massive value to them, and invite them to check out your show. It creates a kind of web of influence that constantly brings new people into your world. So, let's have a look at proof and credibility. This isn't just a theory here. This strategy has a proven track record. Look at Entrepreneurs on Fire, a podcast John Lee Dumas started with no online presence that became a multi-million-dollar business. Or the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, which grew from 2 friends in a garage to a media empire. Even big brands get it. ZipRecruiter created Rise and Grind to connect with entrepreneurs, and GE produced a hit sci-fi podcast called The Message just to boost awareness for its tech. They all understand a fundamental truth. Attention is earned through trust, and trust is built through authentic conversation. This is the power of small business podcasting in action. It builds a deep personal connection that makes your brand indispensable. So here we are. Let's sum up things, and I know that starting a podcast can feel like a huge step, so I want to make it as easy as possible for you. The first step is always the hardest, which is why I've put together a free comprehensive podcast launch checklist, which is just for you. It breaks down the entire process, from picking the right budget-friendly equipment and defining your listener, to outlining your first 3 episodes and getting your show listed everywhere. It takes the guesswork out of it so you can focus on what you do best, which is sharing your message, right? So make sure that you download this list because you need to start your podcast, because without one you are just invisible. For too long now you've been playing by rules that felt like they were designed to keep you invisible, shouting on social media and writing for algorithms instead of people. It's time to get off the content treadmill. The new way is about depth over width, connection over clicks. It's about building real authority one listener at a time. A podcast allows you to build a true platform, one that builds trust, establishes you as the go-to expert, and attracts your perfect customers. Stop trying to be seen everywhere. Start being heard by the right people. Your business, your message, and your future customers will thank you for it, believe me. So thank you for watching. I hope you've got some value from this video, and if you have, please subscribe to the channel and be sure to check out the next video or podcast on your screen, where I break down exactly how to turn those new podcast listeners into high-paying clients. Thanks very much. I've been Chris, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Bye.